the performance that he needed to really prove to everybody that he was the true undisputed welterweight champion of the world. Leon Edwards gets it done against Kamaru Usman a second time in the Trilogy match. He wins the Trilogy. He's won 2 out of the 3 fights. They're 2-1. Leon Edwards is on the winning side, and he has won the Trilogy with Kamaru Usman. He is the welterweight champion of the world, and in a fight that it was much closer than a lot of people online, and especially the judges make it out to be, Leon Edwards still got the win. The way I had this fight, I honestly had it a bit closer to a draw than anything else. I had the first round to Leon Edwards. I had the second round to Kamaru Usman. I don't know why so many people had it for Leon Edwards. I think that was a pretty clear Usman round. The third round was also a decently clear Usman round, even with the point deduction that just takes more off of Leon Edwards. The fourth and fifth rounds were really close. I don't really know how to score those rounds because first watching it, upon my first watch, I had the fourth for Usman and the fifth for Edwards. But looking back at it now, they've kind of flip-flopped. So I can't really talk a lot about those rounds. They were a bit too close for me. But I think the way I had this fight going, the way I have this fight right now, I have it 47-47 as a draw. With that point deduction, man, and Leon Edwards, he did have a lot of fouls in that fight, a lot of groin shots, a lot of weird fouls, and also the cage grab. That was kind of the final nail in the coffin for Herb Dean in order to take off that point. Leon Edwards had no fouls after that, let me tell you, and after that, it was a pretty clean fight. Usman, in my opinion, I think he had just the better moments on the feet and on the ground, especially on the ground. He had an entire round of control time. He had a total 5-minute control time. On the feet, Edwards landed like 2 or 3 really, or more like 4 really significant shots. That one of them really looked like it somewhat wobbled Usman. The rest of them, Usman was just kind of fine. Usman landed the harder shots, it looked like, when he did land. He landed less shots, but when he did land, it was bigger than when Leon landed for sure. And Edwards, if you look at the total strikes, Edwards, he has more total strikes landed, but he landed 50 leg kicks. A lot of leg kicks, man. I think a lot of what won him a lot of the rounds in some of the people's eyes was the leg kicks. But you have to also think about Usman doing better in head strikes and also in the wrestling. He did much better in the wrestling. I don't know. It's a close fight. It's hard to give it to either one. But these judges, I feel like they just give it a bit much. They just did a bit much, in my opinion. 2 of the judges gave 1 round to Usman and the rest to Leon Edwards. It's just, I don't know. I don't really know how you could do that. It's just a bit weird. It's much closer than, like I said, it's much closer than a lot of people make it out to be, this fight. But regardless, I think Leon Edwards winning is still somewhat valid. I don't see it as a complete robbery because then again, the latter 2 rounds were really close, and I do see how you could give them to Leon Edwards. I don't see how you can give him the second round. The third round, maybe if you want to push it. Not the second round though, except a lot of these judges, more than half of them, gave the second round to Leon Edwards. I don't know how. I honestly don't know how. I think the most clear round of Leon Edwards was definitely the first. And I think the most clear round for Usman was probably the second, or maybe the fourth or the fifth. One of those. Forgot which one I'm thinking about. But yeah, I think regardless, Leon Edwards just proved to everybody, he is the welterweight champion of the world. I did say Usman was going to retire after this fight. But, I mean, if you saw that fight live and you saw how close it really was and how Usman is definitely not washed up, he's still got a lot left in the tank. Me personally, I wouldn't retire either. If Edwards dominated me, if he knocked me out, if he did whatever, I probably would have retired if I was Usman. But during this fight, I couldn't see how he could have, honestly. And Usman, I don't know who he's going to fight next. I have no clue who he's going to fight next. Maybe Chimaev. I think that would be probably the best fight for him right now. The next title shot, I want to talk about that in another video because Colby doesn't deserve it. Everybody knows this. The only benefit of giving Colby the title shot is the business. Realistically, the UFC doesn't want to give Bilal Muhammad the title shot. It's facts. They don't want Bilal Muhammad to have a chance to win the welterweight strap. They don't want that. They want what's better for business. And in the end, Colby Covington is better for business. That's it, man. I don't get it. They want to put guys like Colby Covington or like Jorge Masvidal over guys like Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, or maybe even Shavkat Rakhmonov. I don't get it. I don't get it. I have to make another video about this because that's its whole other topic in itself. And I can't believe they're giving it to Colby. Dana White said Colby deserves it. He doesn't deserve it, and you know it. You're just saying that, and you know it. And I did also say before, I said how Usman deserved to be ahead of Leon Edwards in the pound for pound rankings. That was before this fight. I think after this fight, Leon definitely deserves that spot over him. He's now 2-1 over Usman. He's won the majority of the fights. I think this fight for Edwards was definitely his best performance against Kamaru Usman. And we all knew that heading into this fight that it kind of had to be that way. We knew it was going to be that way, and it was that way. I think he won more rounds in this fight than in any other of his Usman fights in that trilogy combined. It's how much better he did in this fight. Regardless, Leon Edwards is the winner of the trilogy, and there's nothing we can really say about that. Who knows? Who knows? I honestly think for this fight, we should have gotten to see like 5 more rounds. Not 5, that's a stretch. Like 3 more rounds. They both looked like they could have kept going. It was a very exciting fight. It was a very entertaining fight. I liked it. Yeah, though. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that whole argument is kind of weak. Like, oh yeah, if it went 3 more rounds, if it was a 5-rounder, if it just went 1 more round, this guy would have won or this guy would have won. I think that's a weak take. I'm saying it because I think it would have been a fun fight. That's just what I'm saying. But, you know, you either fight 3 rounds or 5 rounds. No in between. No, nothing less, nothing more. Whatever happens, happens. However you perform is how you perform. And it shouldn't be a matter of, oh, but what if? Oh, but this, that. Listen, that's just its own little tangent. But yeah, it would have been entertaining to see like another round just to see where it would have gone. I don't know who would have won that other round. I'm not saying like, oh, if it went 1 more round, Usman sleeps Edwards. I'm not saying that, or vice versa. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, it feels like a trilogy isn't even enough. I feel like they might have a quadrilogy if Usman really does that good against whoever he fights next. I think that's probably the one to make. But the next fight's probably Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. I think it's just not the fight to make. For the business side, that's definitely the best fight to make. But in terms of who deserves it more, Colby is at the bottom of that list, and it's weird considering he's the highest ranked. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All I know is Leon Edwards. Good performance for him there. It's nice to see fans not booing him this time around. Leon Edwards has been booed at the O2 before. He's been booed at the O2. He's been booed by his hometown fans. I honestly think that if he never landed that head kick on Kamaru Usman, people wouldn't talk about him. The UK fans wouldn't rally behind this guy if he never landed that head kick. That might be a hot take, but I think a lot of the fans for Leon Edwards, name me 3 Leon Edwards fans before he beat Kamaru Usman. That you can't. There's no Leon Edwards fans before fighting Usman the second time. Nobody was a fan of Edwards. His stock was at a low even after a win over Nate Diaz. You all know why. And nobody was really rooting for this guy either. I guess people from the UK were like, okay, let's hope Leon wins. But if he doesn't, then, you know, it's just what they were expecting. They weren't expecting Leon to win. And if he lost, they wouldn't have expected anything more or less or whatever, man. I think if Edwards never had kicked Usman, then he would have been just another one of those guys Usman beats. Colby would have still been the best guy, the closest guy to beating Usman, because Edwards in this alternate universe would have only won one of the rounds, the first round. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, maybe that's a hot take, but I think people are only rallying behind Leon Edwards because he can win fights and because he's been on such a high winning streak. Listen, what happened to the Tony Ferguson fans? Tony Ferguson's on a 5-fight losing streak, and I still think the Tony Ferguson fans are more loyal than the Leon Edwards fans. I truly believe that. Truly, honest to God, believe that. Even like Charles Oliveira coming off of a loss. Listen, I don't know a lot about the Charles fans. Listen, I'm a Charles fan. I'm a die-hard Charles fan. I'll always root for Charles, right? I feel like a lot of those guys who are Charles fans, they weren't rallying behind him a lot. I feel like they were only doing it just to go against Khabib, most of them. That might be a hot take as well. That might not be. I see a lot of people having that take online as well. They may be right, may be wrong. Who knows? All I know is I love Charles Oliveira. I love Tony Ferguson, and I'm cool with Leon Edwards. I just think that this might be a hot take, but if Leon Edwards never lands that head kick, he doesn't have this crazy fan base that he has right now. A lot of people will forget about him. In fact, I think a lot of people would have disrespect towards him if he did lose to Kamaru Usman. I mean, but that's a whole other thing in itself. That never happened. It's just a what if. It's just a theory. Edwards is the champion. The UK loves him. That's great. This trilogy is gonna be in the UFC history books forever. So that's great always. Leon Edwards, wherever he goes next in his career, I truly hope he beats Colby because I don't think Colby deserves that shot. So I think Leon Edwards should just beat him so we don't have to see more of Colby, because you can't beat one guy coming off of a 2-fight losing streak and immediately get a title shot after that. Not even fucking Justin Gaethje gets that type of treatment. So yeah, I don't know, man. Listen, Gaethje versus Fiziev as well. I forgot to talk about that. That was a fun fight. Gaethje did better. I think he won the last 2 rounds. The second round was pretty close, but I think he clearly won the third. He won the fight. He won the fans over, and he won the respect of many, including myself. He already had my respect for even taking the fight because I didn't think he was going to. But now winning the fight, Gaethje has a lot of my respect. He has a lot of my respect. And also, Vittori Delize. I honestly think Delize should have won that fight. Vittori did better in leg kicks, and that was it. Delize just did slightly better in everything else, I feel like. And, I don't know, man. Delize just looked much more powerful, much better, especially the first round. How can you give a 30-27 to Vittori? That's such a robbery of just the first round in itself. Delize clearly won the first. The second was super close, and you could maybe give it to Vittori. And then the third was another one of the close rounds, but I still would have given it to Delize, honestly. Yeah, Barberena versus Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson, this guy fights once a year. He doesn't even like fighting anymore, but he still wins. I don't get it, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. Yeah, Gunnar Nelson, he's just too good. He's just that guy, and that mustache is very nice as well. Brian Barberena, I'm super pissed off that he lost, especially this time around. I was talking about how Barberena's so hard to submit because of his last fight, but a lot of those submissions were just chokes. And he's just got the willpower to survive the chokes. When it's joints, I guess is different. And maybe it was right to tap. It was the last 10 seconds as well. I think he could have rallied maybe in a second round if fight had been 10 seconds shorter. But it's another what if, like, oh, if the fight was 10 seconds shorter, this guy wins or this guy wins. It's just whatever. My verdict picks went to complete shit. They were terrible. This card was definitely my worst pay-per-view picks for the year so far. All my other picks were really nice, and this one was just not it. Just kind of the opposite. Yeah, man, this is my review of it's my immediate thoughts of UFC 286. There's a lot to talk about. Honestly, I'm gonna make a whole other video about more things I want to talk about, especially in the welterweight division. There's just so much to think about, especially in welterweight. So yeah. Fun card. The review is going to come out few days. Chico Weekly 11, few days. Yeah. And also my video on welterweights and Colby Covington especially, because that guy doesn't deserve this title shot for shit. And everybody knows it. So yeah. Immediate thoughts. Edwards is cool. Usman, can he come back? Who knows? But he's still in the clear. He's still one of the best in the world. Leon Edwards is one of the best in the world as well. Colby Covington is ducking Chimaev, and for some reason it seems like he's ducking Bilal as well, which is a bit weird to think about. But yeah, who knows? There's just so many guys at the top that he doesn't want to fight, and I don't know why. I don't get it. But yeah, these are my immediate thoughts. Fun card.